94 Rocks, The Dark. It is that time again. It's time to get to know a band we play here on The Dark. And in fact, this band actually is in Minnesota as we speak. We're talking with Rory Rodriguez. He is the lead singer of the band Dayseeker. And first of all, Rory, welcome to Minnesota. Are you enjoying the 30-some degree weather today?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Me being from California, this is just amazing weather, you know.
I was going to say, does it ever get cold in California? You guys are from Orange County, California, so I'm assuming the temperature there stays pretty consistent most of the time.
Oh yeah, man, it's like at the lowest, like 60 to 70 degrees typically. So it's very, very hot still most of the time. It was definitely an adjustment when we first started touring in like winter time in other states in the country.
Hey, let's find out a little bit more about the band Dayseeker and kind of give us the history of this band. How did you guys get this band going? How did it all come about?
Yeah, we all came from various local bands from Southern California, and it was just something where we toured together and we all really enjoyed each other. And then basically our two separate bands kind of ended up breaking up, and then we ended up forming Dayseeker out of those two bands, and we've been doing it for about 10 years now, and I've been actively touring the States since then. So it's been a grind, but it's really paid off in the end.
You know, I didn't really know about Dayseeker until 2019 when you released the song Sleep Talk. Is that really kind of when this band started to break out nationally, or did it break out earlier than that?
It was definitely around when Sleep Talk came out. We have like a cult underground following, I feel, before Sleep Talk, and then once we put out that song and that album, I feel like it was definitely a huge turning point. And it was also kind of interesting timing because we dropped that album, and then I think like 6 months later the pandemic happened, and so I feel like it's funny that a lot of our fans say that like the album Sleep Talk was like their quarantine album. Like they just listened to it a ton of the time when they were just kind of isolated. So it had a chance to just kind of sit out and marinate, and by the time we went on tour again, we just noticed there was a big shift in how many people knew about us and what our live shows were like.
You know, and that's the thing. You mentioned Sleep Talk coming out before the pandemic, and I think that song did do pretty well on rock radio. And then the pandemic happens, and you're like, all right, great. All the momentum we had is gone. How, I guess, did you guys handle that? And also, how did you handle the pandemic during that time?
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough, you know, not being able to tour for like a year and a half to 2 years was a big struggle. We did like an online kind of concert with actually, funny enough, the band we're on tour with now, Bad Omens. We did like an online concert with them, which is like still kind of a way to feel like we were playing, but it was obviously very different. And like I said, I think it was obviously a bummer that we weren't able to tour, but I feel like that album was like a big thing for people to listen to, like during the pandemic, and it helped them get through it. So I feel like by the time they came back from the pandemic, everybody just seemed like really hungry for live shows again, you know. They like really wanted to have the chance to just be a part of that atmosphere.
All right. You know, I've been doing some reading about the band, and of course your brand new CD, which just dropped a couple weeks ago on November 4th, called Dark Sun. And I was kind of reading about the album and kind of how you made it, and it sounded like this album was kind of made off of some tragedy that you had. Could you explain a little bit to our listeners kind of the crux of this album?
Yeah, so my father ended up passing away actually July of last year. He had been battling cancer for a really long time, and so it just, that kind of all happened right around the beginning of us starting to record the album. And so it wasn't intentional, but we ended up writing half of the album about my father and just kind of my experience with watching like deal with cancer, pass away, kind of the aftermath of that. And then I had also had my first child, my daughter Hazel, and so it is a very heavy and intense album emotionally. But then the last song on the album is actually about my daughter, and I feel like it's kind of like this like light at the end of the tunnel at the very end of the album. Like things like have the potential to be okay even through like a really horrible situation like that.
Right. I'm kind of curious. I mean, not that I'm necessarily an emotional guy. I've got 3 daughters, and obviously I'm lucky to still have my parents alive, but you have to perform these songs in front of people. How difficult is that? Is there times that you get wrapped up because you know what this song really means about you?
There definitely are times. We were playing in our hometown like just a week or 2 ago, and I shed. It doesn't happen very often, but I shed a few tears while we were performing in front of the crowd. And it's, to be honest, though, I mean, there's so many things going through your head when you're performing in front of that many people that like I can get wrapped up in the emotion of it, but sometimes it is just like I'm just so much more focused on staying in key, or just making sure that I'm just like trying to do as best as I can for the people watching us. So it is sometimes hard to avoid the emotions, but also sometimes I'm so distracted by just like, wow, there's a lot of people here. Wow, sing well for them, like put on a good show, So I feel like it's easier to get wrapped up in the emotion when you're actually recording it, because then it's just me and like one other guy.
Right, exactly. We're talking with Rory Rodriguez. He's the lead singer of the band Dayseeker. They're actually in Minnesota right now. They're on the Concrete Jungle tour, and you're out with Bad Omens. That tour has been completely sold out, and I gotta believe it's just been a lot of fun so far. How has that tour been going?
It's great, man. I mean, the fact that it sold out entirely before it even started is just a crazy thing, and we're very grateful to be a part of it. I do feel like we're having a moment right now with our band. I feel like Bottom is also having a huge moment too. So it's really cool for us to be able to be on the road together, and they're just the nicest guys. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because back in February, I talked to Noah from Bad Omens, and Like a Villain had just came out. And I told him, I said, I think this song has a chance to be a top 10 song. And sure enough, it became a top 10 song. I'm going to kind of say the same thing with you. I mean, obviously, I thought Neon Grave was amazing, and I think it got some airplay. But I think this song, Without Me, has an opportunity to break the top 20. What do you think about that?
I would be very grateful if that was a real thing. We had a chance to write that song with a bigger pop producer named Matt Squire, and he had worked on like I think like some of like Panic at the Disco's like really early stuff, and like They Used, and like Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato. He was really cool to work with, and I feel like we almost didn't actually write that song because we felt like we had enough songs for the album, and then he came in and we ended up writing Without Me, I think, in like 3 hours, and we were like, wow, this is like, I think we have to like push this as a single. So I would, I would love that. It does seem like people like it, but I didn't really like it that much.
It's hard sometimes to figure out what people like in that, but I tell you what, like I said, I've been a fan since I heard Sleep Talking and Neon Grave, and now here Without Me, and I'm excited to kind of hear what the future is for you guys. Obviously, the album just came out, so what kind of reaction have you been getting from this album, not only for your hardcore fans, but also to rock radio?
It's been great, honestly. I mean, you'll always have a few people who I think miss, because our first and like older sound was like more rooted in like metal and hardcore, So I think you'll sometimes have like these metal elitists who don't understand that you're trying to maybe not write the same album like 5 times over. But for the most part, the response has been really kind, and I think me writing it about such a personal topic of grieving, I get a lot of messages just of people just saying like, they're really grateful that this album came out when they did, because it was able to like articulate feelings that they've had about people they've lost, and it feels like we kind of finally have like rock radio in our corner too, and that turn is kind of spreading us around to more people. So this is definitely just like the happiest we've been in our career, like since we started as a band. So it's an exciting time for us.
Well, bigger and better things are going to happen, and I got to believe going out on a sold-out tour in front of a lot of different people across the U.S. of A. is going to lead into more things in 2023, and I'm guessing you're going to try to get out as much as you can on the road in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in like a week or two, we will have all of our 2023 booked up, which is pretty exciting. So we have a lot of plans for next year.
Got to ask, what are your plans for Thanksgiving when you're on the road? Have you guys figured out what you're going to do?
Yeah, I think we're just going to get an Airbnb, and we're all just going to cook different dishes together. It is sad that we're kind of away from our families. We can't be with them on that day, but I feel like we also all kind of consider each other a family. We're pretty close in our camp, so I think we're just going to make the best of it and just have a little band tour Thanksgiving.
Well, and every day that you go to a different city and you see your fans, they are family too, aren't they?
I would like to think so. Yeah. The COVID restrictions have been pretty intense, so we haven't been able to interact with them as much, but yeah, there's a lot of love in those rooms for sure.
Hey, if people want more information about Dayseeker, how can they get that information?
Oh, you can find us pretty much everywhere, all social media. It's just the handle Dayseeker. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, all major streaming services, and then our website is just dayseeker.band. That has all of our upcoming tours and merchandise that you can get.
Awesome. Rory, I know I hear in the background there they must be doing some sound checks, so have a great show tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2023, and thanks so much for joining me on the program tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Once again, that is Rory Rodriguez. That is from Dayseeker. Their latest song is called Without Me. You're hearing it right now. It's on The Dark. It's on 94 Rocks.